I've been travelling around Southeast Asia for the last 12 months, and before that I travelled around Europe and the UK for 10 years. I've done everything from camping and backpacking all the way up to high-end luxury travel. I want to be able to give you tips, hints and tricks to be able to book your best trip ever. I want these videos to be full of advice to help you on your journey. My name's Liam Ayres and I have a passion for travel. I want to help other people have the same passion that I do. Today we're going to talk about finding cheap flights and, more importantly, moving around without breaking the bank. The first thing you want to do is be flexible with your dates. For this, I would advise so much, especially when you're booking your first flight and your return, is to look at Skyscanner and Google Flights. Set up alerts and have a look through for tracking of the prices. This will help you find the cheapest months, the cheapest weeks and the cheapest times to book. Very weird, but I had to get up in the UK at 3 AM in the morning, and that's when I found my cheapest flights. I looked probably for 12 months and I found the flight not long before we went for about £300 each, all the way over to Bali, and that was one way. But because it was at 3 AM in the morning, they dropped down to about £280. Now, those flights we've been looking at for months and they've been £600, £700 and £800 per person. So it's a massive saving if you go out and do the legwork. Often as well, flying midweek or at random days and times, odd times like 2 AM in the morning, will net you a really good deal. Additionally, nowadays you can use ChatGPT, Perplexity and all the other AI bots and have them search and set up trackers. You can also have them look for historic times and dates when the prices drop. There's so many ways to find flights, but I found Google Flights being the best by far. However, when I booked my flight, TravelUp has been a godsend for us. It's always been the cheapest and we found it to be the best so far. Number 2 is look beyond main airports. Secondary airports are much cheaper, or generally much cheaper. So if you're thinking of flying into this capital of the country, there's so many different options around the capital. Have a look at what is nearby. For example, if you're thinking of flying into Spain, don't think Barcelona or Madrid, look at all the surrounding airports. And sometimes going into those more rural airports will give you a scenic view on the bus or the train or whatever back to where you actually want to go. It'll save you a fortune, I promise. Number 3 is break up your journey. I'm sure we've all been here. Even on the simple flights, you'll click on Skyscanner or click on Google Flights and there'll be a list of 4 flights, and the third one down I'll have 5 different changes. If you break up your flight, typically it'll be so much cheaper. When we flew from the UK to Bali, we stopped in Dubai and it was like half the price of what we would have paid if we didn't do the stop. We did actually get trapped in an airport once doing this because we missed our second flight, but if that happens, they just get you on the next flight, so it's not a problem. When I say break up your journey, consider hopping on a bus, a train, a ferry, whatever it might be. Getting us around the Philippines, if we'd not used a ferry, we would have been paying thousands of pounds to get around. But having that small break up in our journey has made it so much more affordable. Not only will it save you money, but it'll give you a much better local experience. And longer routes aren't always a hassle. For me, I prefer getting a sleeper bus in Vietnam and just playing on my game, watching out the window, seeing what those smaller towns look like when you drive through them. Number 4 is budget airlines are your friends. But I have to caveat that because I don't believe that they're always your friends. Be so careful with budget airlines. So budget airlines are great if you're looking for a deal top level, but please be careful as they charge extra for baggage, for certain seats, and even for like water, they'll charge you extra. Even if the flight is crazy hot, it's the 40-degree flight and they will still charge you for water. Sometimes they'll sit you far away from your family and friends, and that's additionally not really ideal. To add to that, pack light and always know the airline rules. If it's a 12-key bag, don't pack 14 key, because I promise you they get paid commission to catch you out. They will catch you out, I promise you. Do not do it, because it's not worth getting weighed and getting caught out. And a lot of the budget airlines, they fly from a city centre, so please factor in costs like taxis and buses and whatever to get to the city centre, because this can be quite expensive as well. Number 5 is to use local transport to save big. Now, I'm currently in Bangkok in Thailand, and I see the local buses all the time. And when I first ever come to Thailand, I turn my nose up at those buses thinking, why would I get on those? But they go to the same place in the same amount of time. The traffic is wild in Bangkok, so you're not going anywhere any quicker. Just jump on the local transport. And if you're in the places like Europe, snagging early bird deals on the trains is absolute gold, because this will save you a fortune there as well. Now, when I say local transport, I also mean renting a bike, because renting the scooters or the bikes is so cheap. We had a bike in Vietnam for £15 for over 2 weeks. That is crazy. Less than £1 a day to ride a scooter around. Not only will this give you easeability of getting around, but it will give you access to hidden gems. I need to caveat this as well. If you don't have a license or you've never ridden before, at least in your home country, don't start riding in a random country where you don't know the rules. Please get an international license before you do that. And additionally, if you're going to do it, get some training at home. In the UK, we have something called a CBT, which is compulsory bike training. Please go and do it. It's about £90, £100. Go and get it done. It's super important. Your safety needs to come first. Number 6 is always compare and double check. Do not settle for the first flight you find. I've fell foul of this before, being in a rush in the airport. I've booked a flight. There was no baggage. I end up paying extra £120. What a nightmare. All the prices will vary across the different sites and apps. Look at the direct. So if you see like Travel Up doing a Qatar airline flight, go on Qatar Airlines and have a look how much that flight is. Equally, if you're on Qatar Airlines, you find it, go on Travel Up and have a look. Go on Google Flights, go on Skyscanner. You can track all of these apps in one go by just literally making a little tab on Google. Also super important, if you're traveling cheap, please check the cancellations, because if you decide, oh, do you know what, I love Thailand so much, I'm going to stay an extra month, fantastic. But if your airline has a 0 cancellation policy, you're not going to leave and risk losing £200 or £300. So please check the airline cancellations, or just cancellations in general, because it's nothing worse than getting stung with a fee or not being able to do what you really wanted to do. My 2 favourite ways to look for travel items is, number 1 is to go and ask the locals, how do they travel around? So we found out about the buses in Pai and Chiang Mai by literally speaking to local people, and they ended up costing us about £3 each to go from Chiang Mai to Pai, and then £3 each to come from Pai to Chiang Mai, which is ridiculously cheap. Secondly, and I don't rate this website at all, it really frustrates me to be promoting them, but Agoda, the new version we found is trip.com. They always have flights on there and they seem to be ultra cheap. Ferries, flights, buses, it's just so much cheaper. Like, that's where I always just go first. Now I check there and then I use that as like a price gauge or an anchor to decide how much it's going to cost us. Now, number 7 is consider alternative routes and nearby countries. Now, this tip sounds ridiculous because in Europe or in the UK, we wouldn't really consider this, at least for me. Maybe you would in America or Canada. But when you're traveling around Southeast Asia, you can just nip into the next country and it's easy as that. We found though, when we consider an alternative route, the biggest one for us was the Philippines. We had a route planned out of like 12 different places we wanted to go. We ended up shredding it down to 4, and we considered a different route where we passed through small towns and got to spend time with locals. We experienced their life, we seen what it was like to be a Filipino in those places. And we also got to see the big cities. We would never have had that had we have just done the original route we were going to do. We also made friends with some of the Filipinos and we got to know them so well that Jess is still texting one of them now. Additionally, this lets you see way more places on a budget. We went to Bohol and we loved it in Bohol, and we spent a whole week there just traveling all around from Bohol. Now, that entitled us to go and do so much more with a smaller budget than if we'd have traveled around, because if you don't know, flights in the Philippines are crazy expensive to go from one island to another. And then generally you'll land at an airport and you've got to get a ferry to the main island. It's just so expensive. Just please be careful with the route you choose, and don't think you've got to stick to the route because you planned it 6 months ago, because you don't. Number 8 is to use loyalty programs and travel rewards, even on a budget. So one of the ones we use is the Amex. Now, I love the Amex because you build up points as you're spending anyway, and I'm going to spend this money anyhow, so it makes no difference. And then I transfer those points into air miles or into loyalty programs, and I get stuff basically for free. I was spending the money anyway, so why not? Cashback's a really good one as well. If there's any cashback options, you can get some money back, and then you can use that towards, again, flights and meals and whatnot. And especially look for budget airlines own ones. So we use AirAsia a lot, and we've started getting points on theirs. We've got a free flight with our next AirAsia one. Like, can't ask for better than that. Like, why would you not do that? You're using it anyway. And additionally, by the way, if you're using the budget airline ones, they'll upgrade you. Twice we've been upgraded now, and there was no like conversation or, oh, we're going to use your air miles or anything. They were just said to us, oh, you're a really loyal customer, thanks for flying with us all year, here you go, here's an upgrade. Like, what? Thank you so much. Number 9 is about packing smart to avoid fees. So one of the first things that we always do is we bring essentials like an extra water bottle that we can refill, and we sometimes make some like sandwiches, and we also bring snacks because I'm a snacky person and the airport prices are wild. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but pay the extra money for a good carry-on case, because if you're getting a good carry-on case or bag, it weighs less and it'll last longer. Now, additionally, to add to that, I would say be careful with the airline rules. So you can manipulate the rules a little bit. Sometimes the checked luggage, you'll get a higher amount, and sometimes the carry-on, you'll get a higher amount. So just swap your bags around a bit, tie stuff to the outside of your carry-on, put stuff on, like putting an extra jacket on or a pair of socks or whatever that you don't normally wear, or 2 t-shirts or a hoodie or whatever it might be. And in that way, you're kind of dodging it. I know this sounds like stupid advice, but it has saved us many times, having our jacket on instead of having it in our bag and swapping stuff out of our checked luggage into our carry-on. It just saved us so many times. And number 10 is to be ready to book when there's a good deal. Be flexible. If you see a deal, grab it. I don't care if you're in work. I don't care if the kids are screaming. Make sure you book that deal ASAP, because they don't last around. We've had travel up twice where we've clicked on a deal, it was like £30–40 and we were getting a flight or a ferry. We're all excited, putting in the details, and by the time we click confirm, it says this flight is sold out. There is nothing worse than finally getting that deal, booking your dream trip, and now it's gone. Please be ready when those deals come up. Keep an eye on your emails if you've got alerts set. While I'm talking about good deals, use incognito mode and also use VPNs. VPNs will move your location to where maybe it's cheaper. For example, if you move your VPN to Indonesia, your location, I promise your flights will go cheaper. But be careful, because if you're trying to book flights in Southeast Asia, quite often the Southeast Asian countries aren't always the cheapest. Sometimes it's China or Japan. Another thing I like to do, even if I'm not going to use the website right now, is I go in and fill in my booking details and all my like credit card details. And the reason I do that is I don't want to be sitting typing stuff in and miss the flight like I did with Travel Up. So I just want to press enter twice and I'm done. Okay, so that's all my top tips for booking cheap flights and getting around without breaking the bank. Remember, a little bit of flexibility and smart planning will go a million miles. If you've got your own travel hacks, tips and tricks, please put them in the comments below, especially if it's flights, because it'll save me a fortune and it'll save everyone else who's watching a fortune. I appreciate it if you do that. I love to read the comments. And if this has helped you out even tiny bit, please subscribe and like the video, because it'll help it go out to other people who may also benefit like you did. And the next one is going to be all about saving money on food and daily expenses while traveling. So if that's something you think you'll be interested in, I'll be uploading that in the next 24 hours. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you soon. Safe travels.